you as we go throughout the work week. Temperatures will be in the mid-90s with heat index values exceeding the triple digits. So if you're going to be outdoors, make sure you are staying hydrated as well as taking breaks from the sun. Then we'll have a chance to dodge some scattered showers again going throughout the afternoon hours.
And when you said feels like temperatures, you're talking like 107 to 110?
108,
Oh boy.
109, 110.
Here we go.
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
That
for
doesn't
sure.
sound great. Okay, have a great night and thanks so much for watching.
This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Good evening and welcome to WAAY 31 Law Call. I'm Sharon Doviet. Tonight it's Ask Us Anything night, so call in your questions on anything from car accidents to an employment issue, custody questions, how to deal with a traffic ticket, anything. We'll see if we can point you in the right direction. The 31 Law Call number is 256-536-0077. You can call in and be live on the air. You can also text us your question to that same number. So text in. We've got some of your texts getting locked in. You can also email a legal question any day of the week. You send it on any legal topic. You send it to lawcall@waytv.com, and when we get to a show that's on point, we pull some out. We've got some of your email questions tonight. We've also got tonight William Meservey from Timberlake League and Brooks to answer your questions. You guys do personal injury cases, so what all is that for people to know?
So it is, you know, any way in which you might get hurt. It could be a car accident. It could be getting hurt on someone else's property from a hazard, or you know, some incident that may occur there. It could be being injured on the job. It could be, you know, some form of neglect that might occur in a nursing situation. It could be a malpractice situation, whether that be medical or professional. So lots of different types of injuries that we see, from the mundane to the abnormal.
So while we get some of your calls locked in, we've got tonight's You Make the Law Call video. So we pulled some video off of YouTube. This is an action, this time, bicycle accident. Okay, we're used to seeing car accidents in this segment. How about a bicycle accident? You thought all bad drivers were behind the wheel. Not necessarily so. Some of them are behind the handlebars. This one, it's hard to tell exactly what happens, but here we go. He's on the ground. I don't know if he ran into, and we'll see it again, whether he ran into the other biker or the other biker turned into him. When you're looking at something like that, what are you looking for? And does this fall into
Well, it's great that we have video, right? And so, you know, you can see to the right a clearly designated bicycle lane, and it's a wide one, but there's a FedEx truck in the middle of it. And so, you know, it suddenly narrows. But we do see the owner of the body cam sort of weaving in and outside of that bicycle lane.
Yeah.
And so it looks to me like he's trying to pass outside of the bicycle lane, which is going to put him at least, you know, if not all the way at fault, partially at fault. And there are specific rules that you have to follow when you're riding a bike. And, you know, there are specific rules that motorists have to follow when there's a bicyclist on the road. Now, this was obviously in a big city, and they probably are have a few more bike laws than we do around here. But, you know, for a bicyclist who's riding his bicycle on the road, which I know that makes a lot of motorists mad, but the law actually has something to say about riding your bicycle on the sidewalk.
Okay,
in
right.
certain places,
Not
right?
supposed to do that.
And so, you know, they have a right to be on the road. In fact, the law says they're supposed to be on the road in these, you know, particular instances. But they have to follow the rules of the road. They have to stop at stop signs. They have to yield at yield signs. They have to make a series of, you know,
signals,
hand gestures to turn and different things like that. And, you know, I think there is some frustration when they don't follow those rules. But there's also frustration on the bicyclist side for these drivers who have no patience, you know, for a slow start or something.
Well, you don't have to have insurance to be out there on a bicycle. So if something like this happened, would your auto insurance or your homeowner's insurance, if you cause an injury to somebody on your bicycle, would any of your insurance cover some of that?
Likely, yes. And your own insurance is going to protect you in that instance as well. Your car insurance will protect you. And so, you know, we've handled several cases like that where you have someone who's struck on a bicycle by a motorist, and if they're severely injured or injured to where, you know, the case value exceeds that of the limits of the motorist, then their own uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage protects them, even though there was not their automobile involved in the accident. So it is something you see, although I think bicycle on bicycle collisions are rather rare
Yeah.
in our area.
We've got callers waiting. We've got Walter on the line with a question from Madison. Hi, Walter. Thanks for calling in. What's your question tonight?
Yeah, my question is, being retired and like many seniors, I want to move to Florida, and I know what Florida requires in establishing residency there. But what about Alabama? Is there anything I need to do to tell Alabama that I'm moving? Satisfy any requirements for them, or do I just move to Florida and get a new license, whatever else is required by Florida?
Yeah, things are pretty well connected these days, a lot more so than they used to be. And,
Yeah.
and I'm glad you familiarized yourself with the requirements of Florida. They have a lot more than someone moving to Alabama because, there have been a lot of retirees
Yeah.
go to
They're
Florida.
attracting a lot.
And they try to protect those local businesses from someone coming to open up shop in retirement or something else. But there's not a whole lot you need to do with the state of Alabama unless you were to have some sort of retirement account or some other situation like that. But believe it or not, it's still a good idea to go and talk to the post office.
Yeah. Good.
And inform them of that change. But generally speaking, once you get down to Florida and you're going to apply for a Florida driver's license and establish residency down there, you'll just let your Alabama license expire, and you'll have a Florida license at that point, and you just kind of move on.
He might want to update any kind of estate planning sort of documents. If you've had a big life change, you're doing all of that, take a look at those sort of things. That may be somewhere that you're going to forget about something, and you just might want to double check that all of the things that you set up that would work in Alabama would work in Florida.
That's a good point. If you set up your power of attorney and your will and last testament here
Yeah.
in Alabama,
Yeah.
it's a lot trickier for your loved ones if your assets are all now in Florida.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
smart thinking.
We've got Lisa on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Hi, it's kind of a two-part question.
Okay, let's try it.
My son had gotten some trouble years and years ago and had restitution to pay.
Mm-hmm.
17 years ago. I got a notice to my address that he still owed it, and this was from 2008.
Uh-oh, and I bet there's a lot of interest they may be trying to tack on, too.
Can they tack on 30% interest on that?
Woohoo!
30%? Is that even legal?
30% seems too high for the interest rates that I know of.
Yeah,
Now,
that seems high.
years ago, it used to be 12% for judgments, but even that got reduced about 10 years ago to
Yeah.
7.5%. But restitution, I don't think it's going to go away.
I
But
don't
the
thi- I don't
interest
think
rate, that seems too high.
I don't think so either. Now, sometimes you can negotiate,
Okay?
right? And so if it's a situation where you haven't been making any payments to the state, and this could be true for child support or something else as well, and look, you owe all this money and you owe all this restitution, and it's almost double now because of the interest,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes they will forgive some of that interest if you will, get set up on a payment plan
Okay.
and start taking affirmative action to pay down that debt.
Yeah.
But one thing it does not do is get better with time.
Yeah.
And so, anytime I come across someone in that situation, look, it's better to own it, go ahead and make that call, talk to them, if you're not in a position to pay it, work out some sort of deal where you're at least paying something. And a lot of times they'll work with you in that regard to, try to cut back some of that interest or do something else because they would rather receive something than nothing.
Sure. Lisa, are you still with us? Can you tell us what the dollar figure is that they're saying that he owes from the restitution?
$1,000 with interest.
Say it one more time.
Over $3,000 with interest.
With interest, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think something at 7.5% interest will double in 8 to 10 years. So yeah, you're better off to get something paid off if you can.
Yeah, and just, making that call and, even if it's just a payment plan,
Yeah.
they'll work with you to get that set up and start chipping away.
We've got Ali on the line with a question from Russellville. Hi, Ali. Thanks for calling in. What's your question tonight?
Yes, I was calling because this lady claims that she won the lottery, and she had a lottery paper and all this stuff showing that she won, and then she told me that she keeps bugging me. It's been like 2 weeks, and every day she'll text me back and say, well, you need to go and get this card, and you can give me the numbers on the back of the card. And I asked her how much the card costs. She said the card costs $100. And I told her, I said, well, I don't want to get money that I got to pay for. And she kept saying, oh, well, you know, sir, you need to do this because you can get this package. It's good that you're thinking about. And I'm not to scam you or nothing like that. You can get this money, but you need to get that card so we can send your money to you.
It sounds like a scam to me.
Sounds like one to me as well. Yeah. There's no such thing as a free lunch, right, Sharon?
Yeah.
And from my experience, when someone's hounding you to give you free money, it's typically going to be a scam.
And I'm worried that if they've got a hold of your number for this, if you play along with it, I think they're going to share your number, and you're going to get a lot more calls with more scams and things trying to get a hold of you. So I wouldn't trust that at all.
Yeah, unfortunately, the statistics show the more you engage with those scammers, the more likely they are to, like you said, share that information, because, you know, statistics show they might not get you on the first time, but they might on the third or fourth. It's kind of like the timeshare sales pitch, right?
They wear you down.
You might get the free catamaran on that first go, and you may not buy the timeshare, but they know it's just a matter of statistics. And so, you know, it's best not to engage with those people. And unfortunately, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry in the United States.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of those folks out there trying to scam people. So, you know, be cautious. Anyone who is, you know, trying to do something along those lines, whether it be say that you owe them money or that, you know, whatever it is, they're not going to text you.
Yeah.
Right? They're not going to call your phone. It's going to come as a certified letter or something else, written, not, you know, via voicemail.
Yeah.
So be cautious and, you know, and contact the authorities. You know, you've got to report these people when those things happen. So, you know, be careful, Ali.
We're going to take a break. Be right back answering more of your questions. It's Ask Us Anything Night. We've got a question about patents. We'll take that coming up next.
Calls live. Presented by the Tennessee Valley's award-winning personal injury and wrongful death law firm, Timberlake, League & Brooks. Featuring the knowledge and experience of Attorney Michael Timberlake, Attorney Will League, attorney Heath Brooks, attorney William Meservey, and hosted by broadcaster and family law attorney Sharon Doviet. This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
And welcome back. Tonight it's Ask Us Anything Night. William Meservey is here from Timberlake, League and Brooks. We got in a text question, so you can call in and be live on the air, 536-0077. You can also text us to that number, or you can send in an email too. We got a text with somebody saying he's got a couple of patents, and there's been 2 times where his patents have been copied and they're being sold. What can you do? So you're not a patent lawyer.
No,
neither
I'm
am I. But what would you say?
You know, the first thing I'd do would be to contact an intellectual property lawyer, and they're going to want to send a cease and desist letter to those folks. You know, when you file for a patent and you get your patent, it's sort of like you've registered this intellectual property, but there's no enforcement of that unless you take affirmative steps, right? So he's identified that, hey, look, someone has been using my intellectual property, and the same is true for like a copyright or a trademark, right?
Yep.
But no one's going to enforce that for you, and unfortunately, it can be very expensive to enforce. You know, but you know, the first step's going to be a cease and desist letter, and then if that doesn't change, you know, there would likely be a lawsuit involved for damages.
Okay, got another text. Somebody bought a box with a table and 4 chairs in it from one of the big box stores. Got it home, went to pick it up by the handle on the top of the box. The box broke and it fell on his foot, hurt his foot. Does he have a lawsuit for the box breaking at home?
It's going to be a tough one for a couple different reasons. But, you know, if it's a situation where the box was negligently packed, then the answer would be yes. But the difficult part arises in proving that, right? Particularly once you've managed to get it up into your car, get it to your house, get it unloaded from the car into your house, and then that box breaks and falls on your foot. You know, unless it's just going to be very difficult because there's any number of things that could happen in that course of action that would affect, you know, the boxing. Did it get wet? Did it, you know, get shuffled around in your car? Or
Did you open it opposite to how those instructions on there said to open it, right? They're going to come at you any way they can.
And so, you know, in theory, yes, potentially there could be a claim there. And we have seen some negligent packaging of boxes before, believe it or not. But that typically occurs in the store coming off of a pallet or you know, some situation like that. It rarely gets that far down the chain before you see it happen.
We've got Tiffany on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Tiffany. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Hi. So I work in childcare, and earlier this year I had signed up for the benefit package through my job, healthcare. I mean, well, not healthcare, vision, dental, short-term disability, long-term disability, all that good stuff. Fast forward June, I went on maternity leave early because of high blood pressure and a lot of complications during our pregnancy. July 1st, I had my twins, and I found out through my job that somehow, some way, my benefits got terminated out of the system. They're saying that I never enrolled in the benefit package, but I know for a fact that I did, and I also have proof that I did. What is the next step for me to take? Well, first of all, do I have a case to go to court? And if so, what is the steps I have to take?
Are you still employed with them?
Tiffany?
Still on maternity leave.
You're on maternity leave but still employed with them?
Yes.
You know, the real question would be, is there a claim for anything that needs to be made? Right? Like, you know, maternity leave typically isn't going to entitle you to make a short-term disability claim. And so, you know, if something arose where you need to make a short-term disability claim and you'd enrolled and for whatever reason, you know, they weren't providing the benefit, then yeah, there'd probably be something that you could do. If it's a situation where, hey, the paperwork got shuffled or this didn't happen, but there haven't been any claims to be made, then it would seem like it'd be more of just an administrative task of cleaning up the paperwork, getting you enrolled or submitted, whatever needs to happen to get that coverage in place. So that would be my real question there is, hey, look, is it a no harm, no foul?
Yeah.
yeah, we didn't get enrolled.
But
and
we can fix it.
I missed my vision appointment or had to pay out of pocket for that. Probably not a big deal. But certainly, if you needed to make one of those disability claims and couldn't make it because of the problem, then yeah, there may be something to that.
Good luck, Tiffany. Thank you for your question. We've got John on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, John. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Yes, hi. Good evening.
Good evening.
I worked at an independent liquor store, and
Okay.
I have people coming in with their photo ID on their phone. Is that legal or not legal?
That sounds like a question for the ABC board. I don't know the specific rules. The last time I looked at them, the state of Alabama was not doing digital IDs. And
Yeah, I don't.
I think the only time that they do a digital ID is for a temporary license. And I think even then they still send you the original. Probably people are just taking pictures of it with their
Yeah,
phone.
probably so.
My guess is that the ABC rules would require you to physically hold the license to ensure that the hologram's there, to ensure that security protections are there. But that would be easy to remedy by just calling the ABC board. They provide free counsel and advice to, what the rules are.
Talk about why that would be so important. So from your perspective, if he sells liquor to somebody who is not of age and that person gets in an accident, what could happen from an accident standpoint and a lawsuit standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, there could be liability on behalf of the liquor store. And, even though it was you as an individual who works there, they're, as the employer, are responsible legally for the actions of their employees as long as they were in the line and scope of their duties as employees. And so, if it's a situation where, you sold to someone underage because they had, counterfeited, I guess would be what it essentially is, some sort of digital copy of a license. And, got intoxicated, got in an accident, or if it was a minor who isn't supposed to have it at all, that could create what we call dram shop action against the liquor store.
Which is big dollar sometimes.
Can be if the injuries are bad, right?
Okay.
So, it could be a serious thing. And, on the other side of that, the liquor store could risk losing their license to sell liquor if they're not enforcing the ABC rules.
Yeah, okay. We've got Larry on the line with a question from Madison. Hi, Larry. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Yes, hello. Hey, yeah, I have two vehicles insured by one insurance company.
Okay.
My daughter backed into one of them with the other one.
Okay.
And when I went to my insurance company, they would only let me claim one of them. I could not claim two. So am I supposed to have two insurance companies if I have two vehicles?
That's interesting. How dare they?
It depends on how on the insurance company and how that policy is written.
Okay.
And so you have to remember, insurance is a contract, and they're not all the same. And there's some differences between different companies. Now, some things are required by the law, but what you see is some companies write an individual policy for each automobile. And I believe that if the company you had done that, then you would probably be able to make both those claims. But most insurance companies put all of your automobiles on the same policy.
Okay.
And so I think that's what's creating the problem here, is that he can only make one claim on the policy. And so it can be a tricky situation.
Interesting. I've never thought about that, Larry. Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back answering more of your questions. It's Ask Us Anything night. Stay with us. Here's how to get in touch with William Meservey with Timberlake League and Brooks in Huntsville, 256-536-0770 or 800-804-2502. The website is law-injury.com. And if you like them on Facebook, you can learn more about the law that way.
And Sharon Doviet is a family law attorney handling everything from divorce to guardianships to adoption. Here in Huntsville, 256-539-7337, and you can find her on the web at sharonfamilylaw.com.
We had a caller call in. He found out he's been paying $32 a month for hurricane insurance for years. He feels like he's getting gypped. What do you think? Is he getting ripped off, or did he?
Well, my question would be, did he have an agent?
Okay.
And it may be a mistake that the agent
Okay.
did. But, you know, most of the times you now are going to get insurance online.
Yep.
Unless you still go to an agent, right? And so there are all sorts of things you can opt into, from hurricane to earthquake to whatever.
Okay.
And each of those add a little bit to your premium.
So if he opted in?
If he opted in, but it may be a mistake on the part of his agent if he never asked for it.
Okay. Good luck with that. Thanks for all your calls and questions. See you next week.